So for this video, we're going to look at two things. We're going to look at various styles of egg cups that were made by the Homer Laughlin China Company from the late 1890s to about the 1950s. There are 13 different styles I want to talk about. Also, I want to mention the Boston shape, which we're going to look at. It's just a couple of specialty items, but we'll begin with the Golden Gate egg cup. This is a poached egg cup with a little attached liner that was made for the Golden Gate shape in the late 1890s. And we see it here at the bottom row. This is a copy of a catalog page featuring some basic Golden Gate shapes. This egg cup was picked up with lines that followed. So here's American Beauty. This comes from a 1907 catalog. And we see item number 3 in the top row, our Golden Gate egg cup. And this, from the same 1907 catalog, this is Colonial. And we see the basic assortment of Colonial with number 14. Again, the Golden Gate egg cup. It's also used in the Angelus shape. I think we've got an assortment list here. Yeah, here's the Angelus. And we see the Golden Gate egg cup being used as well as a Graham egg cup. So the Graham egg cup was the second one to be made. And we see it here in this 1910 catalog. It's listed in the hotel wares half thick, and it's beside a Cable egg cup. We saw those in the Cable video I did recently. But the Graham egg cup looks more like a punch cup. And we have a couple of examples here that came from Hudson sets. And we've got the Bluebird decal. You can see the embossing that's low on the body as well as the foot. These are not marked. It's like the Golden Gates. They're not going to be marked either. As a matter of fact, most of these egg cups are not going to be marked. There's only a couple instances where you'll see any type of Homer Laughlin markings on them. This came in from a Hudson set as well. Again, the Graham egg cup. You can sort of see the embossing that's going on and the fancy handle. Again, no marking. So Graham egg cups were used in Angelus and Hudson primarily. You probably will find them in other shapes. These two are very difficult to find, however. But if you do find them and they're mixed in sets, you can be pretty confident that they're Homer Laughlin pieces. The next egg cup is the Boston egg cup. Now this one was first used in Niagara. Let's see if we can find a Niagara set. Here we go. So this is a 1910 catalog page as well, showing the basic assortment of Niagara. And number 16, we see our Boston egg cup. Again, this is a poached egg cup. So Boston was used mainly in Niagara, Genesee, and Empress, though it's listed in the Quaker assortment too, but by then this shape really wasn't used that much. It's like the Graham and the Golden Gate egg cup, but very hard to find. But since we're talking about Boston, I want to mention the Boston shape. And it's not a dinnerware shape where you're going to have like 60 or 70 pieces in the assortment. Boston is just made up of a couple specialty items, one being the egg cup I just showed you, and then we have a cake plate, which measures 10 1/4 inches in diameter. Pardon me, it's 10 3/4 inches in diameter. The nappies measure 9 inches and 10 3/4. And one thing about the Boston cake plate and nappies, they were made by other companies with this identical scalloped edge with scallop-like embossing on the inside, as well as with luster trims. So for me, I only buy them when they have the Homer Laughlin marking. And this one comes from 1914. The decals on these two pieces you can also find on other specialty items like Hudson jugs and Genesee jugs, Ohio jugs. So we'll be encountering both of these again, this yellow rose with the fern and this rose decal with the lilacs. So I just wanted to mention the Boston shape a little bit since we're talking about that Boston egg cup, and stress that it is not a full line of dinnerware. It's just a couple specialty items. I'm sure we'll encounter those again. So once again, there's your Boston poached egg cup. Now in the late 1920s, we get another version of a poached egg cup. And we'll look at this. Oh, by the way, here's Empress. And there's your Boston egg cup, number 22. This comes from a 1929 catalog, and it just shows some specialty pieces, Cable and special items. And let's see, number 1. This is listed as a WW egg cup, which stands for whiteware. And we have two of them here. This poached egg cup. This is one that you will find that will be marked. And that's got a 1938 marking on it. Rather nondescript floral decal. And then there's a blue willow version that was made in 33. The next egg cup is the Knoll egg cup. This one is just in the depression yellow glaze. You can also find them with decals. Pretty difficult to find compared to the other egg cups. I've never found it listed in any catalog, so it probably comes from the late 1920s. Now the next one is a little more common, the Wells egg cup, which comes from 1930. So we'll look at the art glazes first. I have three of the art glazes. I don't have a rose one, but there's leaf green, burnt sienna or rust, and melon yellow. We've got a couple in vellum that come from Wells sets. There's green stripes. And this one's just a pastel rose with green band. This one comes from a Wells set as well with the green and yellow stripes. Now all these others were picked up and used with other lines. So here we have the JJ59 treatment that was used on Virginia Rose. So this would have been picked up and used with a Virginia Rose set. This would have been picked up and used with Rhythm Rose. And we've got some that are in the light talc body for eggshell. So this would have been with a swing eggshell set, as was this one. So the Wells egg cup does this double duty with this heavier wear and then this eggshell wear. And there's one that looks like cashmere. And pastel rose. This would have been used with eggshell nautilus with its gold trim. So our next egg cup is Fiesta, the poached egg cup from 1936. Comes in 10 colors. There shouldn't be any medium green, but I know of at least one that's in medium green. As I said earlier in the video, these go through the 1950s. So once you get to 59, 60, egg cups pretty much disappear, all forms of them, including Harlequin. So you will find those in all the colors except medium green. This was original to the Harlequin assortment, the double egg cup. The single egg cup was added a little bit later, and it comes in the first 8 colors only. And then we have the Craft Blue and Craft Pink from the late 1930s. Has the little rope design on it, and again, another double egg cup. When Woolworths started making the Nautilus, or ordered the Nautilus shape in pastel glazes, the Homer Laughlin took these Craft Blue egg cups, removed the rope, and then dipped them in pastel glazes. So you will find these without the rope in the 4 Serenade colors. Then we get to the late 1940s, early 1950s, and you have the Jubilee, Debutante, Skytone, and Suntone egg cups. So here we have a Skytone one with a decal, and we have a Suntone one where both the top and the bottom is brown, but you can find them in variations. So you can find the bottom piece in white or the top piece in white, and the same is true with Skytone. You will find all kinds of variations in colors. That brings us to the last group, the cable group. So we talked a little bit about the cable egg cup in the cable video, that this comes from the 1800s and was made through the 1950s. So it's a pretty long-running shape. Some of the older ones that are here is one with the luster on it. This comes from about 1915. And we have another one here with gold stamps. This is a pretty early one as well. And you can see how the base sort of deformed. So they're going to vary in thickness, they're going to vary in heights. So we'll look at a couple examples, and that'll be about it. So this one comes from a Republic line of dinnerware. This one comes from Yellowstone. So it's done in the vellum glaze with a Mexican themed decal and red trim. So this would have been with the Yellowstone shape, made for Woolworths. And this is going to be another common theme we see again. When Woolworths wanted a line of dinnerware from Homer Laughlin, they would almost always ask for a double egg cup. It's sort of what we saw when we were looking at trade sizes with the 36's bowls. Woolworth lines generally have 36's bowls. So we'll pick out a couple Woolworth patterns here. Majestic, that was made for Woolworths, has an egg cup. This one is W138. It's Antique Shop. with the inside line in red. Again, cable shape. Cable you can tell by the little collar that's on the neck. The Marigold Platinum stamp, this is pattern number W134. So that would go with Marigold dinnerware. What else? Okay, the red and black band. This would have gone with Nautilus and sold at Woolworths. And then we have the underglaze Americana treatment. And this one has the name of the pattern, which is across the continent there. We see another rhythm rose. So we can go back to our Wells egg cup and see the difference between a Wells egg cup and a cable egg cup when they have the same treatment. Light yellow glaze with poppies decal. This would have come from either a Knoll or a Trellis set. VR128 on a cable egg cup. And then we have JJ59, which would have been in a Virginia Rose set as well. Nasturtiums, which would have been on Quaker. So this would have been in a Quaker dinnerware set. Here's another one. It's a common pattern on Quaker with the orange and yellow and black and gray floral decal. And I wanted to talk about this for a second. Patrician. It's a very common treatment on Virginia Rose. You have this little stamp embossing. Let me show you a piece of Virginia Rose, how that works. So they use these stamps on the little Virginia Rose embossings. So to have an egg cup in this line, they would just stamp the side with that, even though there's no embossing there, and then draw in that little platinum swag. So there was quite a few pickup pieces with Patrician. I've got a couple others to show. We've got the Jubilee Shakers, again with Patrician stamps. And a Nautilus, Nautilus lug soup. Again, you see those little Patrician stamps that you would ordinarily see on the embossing. You can also find cornet lug soups that were picked up. So Patrician has a lot of pickup pieces. I'm sure we'll look at this in a little more detail when we start looking at the Virginia Rose shape again. So that's going to be it. I just wanted to go over the different styles of egg cups. Again, there are 13 different ones that were used. And by 1960, egg cups pretty much disappear completely.